Today we're off on an expedition into the unknown and often terrifying wilderness to investigate a bunch of different sightings of extremely strange phenomena. What we'll see here may shock or scare you, but hang in there, because we need your help to solve these unexplained events. Here are 20 mysterious creatures caught on camera. Number 20. Goat born with human face. When a little black goat was born in India, some people saw the face of a human in the baby animal. The unusual appearance of the creature created quite the stir, and some people even began to worship the goat as an incarnation of a god. It's true that the goat had a face that was unlike other goats, a kind of flattened appearance, I guess. If you squint a little bit and look at it sideways, you might even say that it was a bit humanish. But what do you reckon? The condition that causes these kind of facial features is called cyclopia. It's often resulting in the complete lack of a nose and often eyes that have not moved to their usual position on the face. And sometimes it makes the appearance of one larger central eye like a cyclops, hence the name. In animals, it's most likely caused by an unsuspecting pregnant animal grazing on a plant that may contain a toxin called cyclopamine. The toxin then prevents the brain from developing properly in an unborn fetus, causing that unusual facial feature that the little goat gets born with. Sadly, the condition is usually fatal, and most babies and animals born with it do not survive even long enough to be born. Now it's time for the fancy topic. Here we are with a rather disturbing image, and we are told that everyone who watched this footage doesn't have an explanation. According to someone, who could possibly say who that might be? A group of friends were out hiking in China, and they were accosted by this big, weird, and utterly terrifying monster. They managed to escape its hideous clutches, and even snapped its portrait while they fled in terror, as one does. But what the heck is it? I mean, what do you think? As always, you can comment down below using the hashtag #FancyTopic and let me know your opinion in relation to what I just showed you on the screen. Number 19. The White Margin Stargazer. Now this funny-looking little guy is most definitely a lot more mean than he appears. The White Margin Stargazer fish may sound like a hopeless romantic, spending his time gazing heavenwards, but don't let the name or indeed the goofy expression fool you. The stargazer is named as such because the unique position of its eyes do gaze towards the stars. But the fish is a menace, and his eyes are positioned like that so that he can hide out undetected and ambush prey. The White Margin Stargazer is able to burrow itself into the sand or silt, leaving only its eyes visible. It is one of the great masters of disguise in all of the world's oceans. Living mainly in the Indo-Pacific Ocean, the White Margin Stargazer eats octopus, squid, and a whole bunch of other fish. And you might think that its ability to camouflage itself would be the stargazer's superpower, but this fish has more than one trick up its sleeve. These guys are poisonous, and they can deliver electric shock. Ouch! The stargazer has two spines equipped with venom that it's able to employ to capture its unfortunate prey, and if that isn't enough, these fish can produce their own power, delivering an electric charge of up to 50 volts. How shocking. Number 18. The Texas Mystery Creature. Here we have another so-called mystery creature that's been caught on camera. What a deep joy it is. Allegedly, this was caught on camera outside of a zoo in Amarillo, Texas. Seems likely, I know. Zoos are full of stuff for wolf people to eat, and are definitely places to skulk around unnoticed, right? This is yet another surprise capture of some weird goings-on. Perhaps all this surveillance isn't actually good for us. I mean, do we really need to know everything that goes on when we're not looking? This is a still image of a sort of wolfman figure that has, according to the news on the internet, got the authorities stumped. I mean, naturally, it's nigh on impossible to discern a man wearing a werewolf-type costume from any other type of living creature now, isn't it? I can see where they had trouble. Number 17. Flying Lemur. Now, the flying lemur, or colugo, is a strange sort of creature that's native to Southeast Asia. There are only two currently living species of colugo left in the wild, and these are the Sunda flying lemur and the Philippine flying lemur. They are nocturnal creatures that live in the high trees of the forest. These animals are generally between 14 and 16 inches long, weighing around about 2 to 4.5 pounds, and they're really good at gliding. They're actually the most well-adapted gliding creatures for flight. In fact, colugos can go as far as 230 feet between trees, and they barely drop altitude at all in the process. There have been some recorded incidences of colugos traveling as far as 490 feet in one single glide. They're able to glide like this because of the way that their skin grows. They have a large membrane of skin between their front limb and back limb on either side of their bodies, and they also have webbed fingers and toes. And despite the earlier belief that they were related to bats, it's been discovered through genetic understanding that colugos are most closely related to primates. Number 16. Dead alien in UFO hotspot. Well, you can make of this next one whatever you will, and I'm sure that you will make some nonsense of it, so here you go. Back in 2011, there was a video doing the rounds which was called Dead Alien Found in UFO Hotspot in Russia. Seems totally legit, I know. It depicted two Russian guys and a so-called dead alien in a snow-covered field in Siberia. The alien is exactly what we would expect it to be. It's about 3 feet tall, it has a big old head, long skinny arms and legs, and so this is, definitely not in any way suspicious at all, and was no doubt thoroughly examined and authenticated. Well, no, it wasn't. This is the internet after all. But naturally the video went viral and people like us are still showing it to this day. Never mind the extremely janky production in which the two men apparently just discovered the alien, nor the ridiculously rubbery appearance of the body that looks exactly like all of the cartoon depictions of made-up extraterrestrials ever since the 1950s comic book obsession with aliens really kicked off. Haha, it seems all totally real now, doesn't it? Go on and have all your opinions about it in the comments section down below. I know you want to. Number 15. Peacock mantis shrimp. A shrimp doesn't sound harmless at all, now does it? Well, perhaps you haven't heard of the mantis shrimp. This crustacean is not like its timid cousins. The mantis, or stomatopod, is also known as the thumb splitter. Handle this mini monster and be prepared for a painful consequence. Growing to be between 4 and 8 inches and living for between 3 to 6 years, these brightly colored creatures hang out in the Indian and Pacific Oceans, enjoying this protection and buffet of snacks available around the coral reefs. They feed on fish, other shrimp, and crabs, and some of their hunting techniques are violent and downright terrifying. Although there are lots of species of the shrimp, they are all known as either smashers or spearers. Yikes! Due to their crazy assassination techniques. Smashers have a kind of club appendage called a dactyl club that they use to batter and literally smash their prey into bits. This battering ram can smack down with speeds of up to 50 miles an hour, or the velocity of a gunshot. It's kinda brutal. Spearers have a more pointy appendage with vicious barbs that they use to, you guessed it, spear their prey. Kebab, anyone? They are super well equipped for such a small crustacean, as their extreme power allows them to prey on much larger species, and let's hope that they don't all figure out how to hunt down humans. Number 14. Alien in La Junta. What a lot of scallywags there are out there playing tricks with videos and giving us all the nasty dreams. And what do we have here? Another mysterious figure? Aliens. This time it is definitely aliens. It simply has to be the answer. It couldn't possibly be anything else. This strange little figure was captured in La Junta, Colorado, and if aliens were to land, that is surely the very first place on their list of top destinations to visit on Earth. The footage, which is hopelessly grainy and dark, shows a late-night visitor taking a stroll down the street, and while this does look kinda bizarre, there is the very real possibility it's just a kid in the hat. Now call me a party pooper all you like, but come on now. What do you think's going on in this video? Is it an alien? Is it a human? Or is this, like the tabloids have suggested, a Dobby, a fictional character from the books about the wizard? You know the ones. What else could it actually be? Give me all of your marvelous ideas in the comments down below. I'm sure that if we work together, we'll get to the bottom of the mystery. Number 13. Hairy blob in the Philippines. When a creature dies in water and is left to float about a bit, all kinds of gross things can happen to their body. Some of those things can make it kind of difficult to identify what the animal might have been when it was previously alive. I know this is kind of upsetting, but this is also why there are so many of these mysterious alien creature stories. Sorry to be a big old party pooper, but it's time that we focus on some facts. When this apparently mysterious hairy blob washed ashore in the Philippines, it only took a few random snaps on someone's phone and a quick upload to the old social media before a bunch of bright sparks would take it upon themselves to poke their own, decidedly unqualified oars in and give the mess a good stir. Some of the extremely quick-witted suggestions would include the speculation that the unfortunate 20-foot-long creature was an old English sheepdog. I mean, really? 20 foot long? Or a poor dead sea cow. Somewhat boringly, the local authorities stepped in to clear up the conundrum, and presumably the rotting 2,000-kilo carcass, and released a statement that said it was actually a dead whale. Yes, it turns out that when a whale is decomposing in water, its flesh can turn white and begin collapsing in such a way as to appear kind of hairy. I hope nobody was eating their dinner. Number 12. Guardian angel caught on camera. Here we have a classic old age piece of nonsense that somehow seems to pop up every once in a while on the old YouTube. This is probably as old as YouTube itself, and it's actually video footage from a game called Dragon Totem Girl that was made in China. Nonetheless, some people do believe that it actually is real, and it shows a man who is riding some kind of bicycle across an intersection late at night when a speeding truck comes by and a figure comes into frame, allegedly teleporting the man to a safe place. The figure then casually just walks away as the man in the truck freaks out and the man on the bike sits down, not believing what actually happened to him. The Dragon Totem Girl game is a prequel to another game in which the characters are descendants of the gods who once ruled, although there are a lot of people who are only just discovering their presence in the video of the Dragon Totem Girl. Now, you can believe what you like, but for us who live in the real world and don't exist within Nonsense Corner, we are going to swiftly move along. Number 11. Scary Ghost Woman. Yes, of course. Of course this is 100% real. It's a video of a real ghost bride, captured definitely for real, and then discovered in mysterious circumstances. There is absolutely nothing that's suspect or shady about this one. In fact, I can't even believe that you would be so cynical. Here we have some allegedly found footage, you know, that stuff that was popular in horror movies back in the 90s for a bit. This, we are told, was found inside of a wrecked car in which no bodies or injured participants were found. So far, so spooky. And then they watch the footage, which you're looking at. A car is driving along a dark, deserted street when people inside spot a figure stepping out into the road. It's apparently a woman dressed in a bridal gown, and the people in the car kind of overreact, to be honest. I mean, how scary is it really? What do you think? Are you absolutely terrified? Or does this all rely completely on the nonsense story about the abandoned car and all of that? Number 10. Deep Sea Purple Blob. Back in 2016, while poking about in the waters off the coast of California, the research scientists on board the EV Nautilus discovered something super weird at the bottom of the ocean. It was a purple blob. For a while, they were all really puzzled by what this blob could actually be. They brought it on board to investigate further, and after taking a couple of samples, the blob began to move. It gradually uncurled itself, and scientists began to have an idea of what it could be. They debated briefly about whether it was a slap or a tunicate or even an egg sac, but then it revolved two lobes, which allowed the researchers to narrow it down that it was a pleurobranch, which is related to the hilariously named nudibranch, which in turn is a relation to snails, which had ancestors who lost their shell millions of years ago. And it just became a kind of combination of skin and muscle and organs that all slime around in the ocean. You know, sea slugs and the like. Number 9. Real dragon caught on camera. Now here we are at Notre Dame in Paris, where a lot of tourists are enjoying a regular sort of afternoon, just staring at the architecture and massively overpaying for mediocre meals in tourist-trapped restaurants, when suddenly out of nowhere, something flaps into view. Yes, this is not an entirely unconvincing depiction of a large dragon flapping its wings across the sky and then coming to land atop the Notre Dame Cathedral. The camera carefully moves upwards as the people can be heard reacting to the dragon with screams. Except that dragons are not real, and that is surely evident enough that this is a fake video. But no! The comments that accompany this video seem to indicate that people actually thought that this was a genuine bona fide dragon hanging out in Paris of all places. In fact, the whole thing seems to have gotten so ridiculous, the original poster and uploader of said video has had to weigh back in and tell everyone that yes, indeed, it is fake. You know, because dragons are not real. He says it was, of course, an animation and camera tracking study, and we all really need to just stop believing everything that we see on the internet now, don't we? Number 8. Hellhound caught on camera. Next up, we have footage from that classic cryptid hunting show, Mountain Monsters, in which a group of bearded men go out roaming the Appalachian Mountains in search of mythical beasts and scary creatures. They usually take a truck and some weapons, and they have unexplainable experiences. But regrettably, there's never any definitive proof, even though they like to put on a good show for the camera. This episode is in Kentucky, where the bearded chaps are out looking into the report of a Kentucky hellhound. They say that it's been caught on video by some locals, and it's a canine that's alleged to weigh about 500 pounds, measuring around 7 feet in length. Well, alrighty then. Now I don't know about you, but that thing looks a heck of a lot like a black bear to me. Or maybe a guy in a suit, of course, because you know, people will do all kinds of stuff for the television. Number 7. Sea monster on Spanish beach. Here we are again with yet another disgusting, decomposing carcass that's washed up on the beach. These things happen. Stuff dies, tides push the leftovers onto shore, but usually not until it's been in the water for quite some time, making breakfast, lunch, and dinner for many sorts of other sea creatures, being battered by the waves, smashed into rocks, and generally suffering all the usual sorts of decomp that anything no longer living would suffer in water for any length of time. So this particular oddity was found on a beach in Spain and had everyone pondering what kind of mythical creature it might be. It seemed to have horns, for Pete's sake. So it had to be a dragon or a demon at the very least, right? I mean, it couldn't possibly be any kind of real-life animal now, could it? Well, yes, actually it could. It was not an oarfish, as some people seem to have been convinced that it was. It was actually a shark. And this is apparently what the skeleton of a shark looks like. It was determined by an expert in marine stuff from Florida State University. Then another expert said that maybe it was a thresher shark. Still though, that's all rather boring, and it being a monster of unknown origin is a much more internet-y solution to things now, isn't it? What would you like it to be? Go on and let me know about it in the comments section down below. Number 6. A flying angel in Delhi. At first in this video, everything looks pretty normal. Some people are posing for a picture, even though there's video being taken, and they appear to be in some kind of ruins somewhere. The people in the video are speaking in Hindi and probably talking about how beautiful the day is or what their trip is like or something of the sort, when suddenly screaming is heard in the background. The camera then zooms to see a very tiny image of what appears to be a human figure flying through the sky like Superman. Why this would be occurring at such a place, nobody knows. However, you would think that it would be covered more on the news or even be an international spectacle somewhere other than on YouTube, wouldn't you? Number 5. Fresno Nightcrawler. Ah, excellent. It's about time we had some lovely grainy CCTV footage to pour over for a bit. This next collection of video nonsense doesn't disappoint. This is not only a one-off capture, but an entire series of creepy events that have been allegedly captured on film for all of us to enjoy. Lucky old us. Anyways, here's some weird trouser-looking creatures that like to take strolls about the California city of Fresno. Because I mean, why not? There are allegedly dozens of accounts of these white creatures who seem to measure between 2 and 3 feet tall and appear, to all intents and purposes, like a pair of trousers just walking about by themselves. You may be asking whether those who have witnessed this sight may have been hitting the cooking sherry just a little hard that evening, but apparently some of them actually had their wits sufficiently about them to film the craziness for all of us to see for ourselves. And thank heavens that they did. There were alleged sightings of a similar ilk back in 2004 in Indiana, and then those others in Fresno in 2007. Again in 2011, this time in Yosemite Park, yet more long legs were captured on a night ramble. And in Ohio in 2014. So what in the actual heck is going on here? Some people think that it's aliens, while others would suggest a brand new species, trousers, or puppets on a wire, maybe even a bird walking like a crane. But what do you think? It just has to be aliens, right? Number 4. Goat born with one eye. This baby goat was apparently born with another type of cyclopia, where this time around it caused the little creature to have just one eyeball positioned right in the center of its forehead. You know, just like a cyclops. The little animal would be born in 2017 in a village in India. This type of cyclopia is caused by a disorder that is known as something I am not about to try and pronounce. This is a rare and severe brain malformation whereby the forebrain fails to divide properly during the early stages of embryonic development. The disorder leads to various facial and neurological abnormalities. Severity ranges from mild facial differences to severe intellectual impairment. The condition's impact on development varies, with some cases being incompatible with life. The little goat seemed to have survived, at least initially, although its life chances were likely decreased as the result of other complex issues that often accompany this condition. This baby goat, as you can likely see, only has one ear, no proper nose or eyelids, nor lashes, and has abnormally tiny jaws, which is why the tongue sticks out to one side. This can ultimately mean that the animal is unable to eat properly and will suffer because it's not capable of proper growth and development, and it's an absolutely sad thing to see. Number 3. Bigfoot in Colorado. Well, yes, an old favorite now. It's Bigfoot. We love a good Bigfoot sighting now, don't we? This time we're in Colorado and we are taking a train ride with a couple from Wyoming who were out riding the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad in southwest Colorado. Shannon and Stetson Parker were peering out of a window hoping to spot some elk as they traveled through the San Juan Mountains, but they had a surprise when they thought they saw something skulking about in the trees. These images, so they say, show Bigfoot in the Colorado forest. But what do you reckon? Does it look like Bigfoot to you? Bigfoot, or Sasquatch, is a legendary and incredibly shy sort of creature that is said to inhabit remote wilderness areas, mostly in North America. Bigfoot is described as a large ape-like being, and for some reason, this creature has caught the imaginations of people for centuries. Numerous alleged sightings, footprints, and blurry photographs, and they're always blurry, even now with all the HD stuff we have fueled the ongoing debate about its existence. While mainstream science dismisses the creature as a product of folklore and misidentifications, believers argue that the vast unexplored wilderness provides ample hiding places for such a creature, which is a reasonably compelling argument. However, people have dedicated their lives to searching for Bigfoot, and still the myth remains, well, simply a myth. It could be that this is the shyest animal ever, or, I hate to disappoint you, it could all be just a load of old cobblers. Number 2. 2 angels flying over Brazil. Now, why is it that whenever there is some kind of religious experience like the statue of Mary having a weeping session or angels caught on camera, that the footage involved is the most dodgy that it ever could be? I mean, I think that I've seen cinematic masterpieces better on a trail camera, and that's really saying something. Here, though, we have images of what a person says are angels that were caught on camera. The footage in question shows some clouds and some flappity wing type things flying around in them for a bit, and then Through the stroke of digital excellence that was 7 years ago, they decide to zoom in and slow down the footage, and somehow it miraculously becomes clear. It is in fact two creatures that resemble something off of a Led Zeppelin album flying through the clouds at almost perfect clarity. You know, because that footage that you see on all the crime shows on your local cable television channel, that stuff's all real. And when you zoom in on an already piece of crappy footage, it only gets better, right? I mean, it only makes sense that a highly pixelated and garbage piece of video footage would get so much more clear once you zoom in on it. And here, what was I thinking? I've only been working with video since I was in university. Silly old me. Number 1. The Montauk Monster. Back in 2008, a gross, bloodless, and bloated body washed up on the shores of Montauk in Long Island, New York, and everyone freaked out. Well, probably would, wouldn't you? Anyways, this creature that soon became known as the Montauk Monster was spotted there on the beach all dead and gross and stuff, and then it was just suddenly gone, and nobody seemed to know why. That's the perfect way to ensure that a mystery remains mysterious. Plenty of people weighed in with a bunch of dopey ideas, as people are wont to do, and the myth of the Montauk Monster was born. There was the speculation that it was a strange mutant creature that had been accidentally created in a lab at the nearby Plum Island Animal Disease Center. And naturally, there were plenty of people who said it was aliens. But what do you think about it? I'm going with it was a sheep that had been in the water for a while, but how about you? Let me know what you think the Montauk Monster was in the comments section down below. Well, that's all from the weird and wonderful creatures of the world for today. Which one of these peculiar things is going to be haunting your nightmares tonight? Go ahead and let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Also, be sure to check out the other cool stuff that's showing up on the screen, and I will see you next time.